I'm Cath. Welcome back to my channel and thank you very much for joining me for my latest video. This is my first ever Friday sews and it's really nice to be joining in with Friday sews for the first time. I really enjoy watching Friday sews videos that other sewers do, but I think because last year I was through most of the year doing my midweek chat videos, which you might have watched, I thought it would be overkill. I wouldn't have enough to talk about to do a midweek chat and a Friday sews video. But this last month or so, you'll probably have noticed I haven't been doing my midweek chat videos. I've been taking a bit of a break from them. I think after Vlogmas, I felt like I'd done so many videos then it would be nice to just slow it down a little bit and just for a few weeks just do a weekend video. So I thought I'd just have a bit of a chill January, take a bit more time to slow down slightly, but I thought that would be a good opportunity to join in with Friday sews. So this is my first one, so thank you very much for joining me. So it's going to be a little bit of a chatty video. I think I've got a few different things to share. I haven't done so many chatty videos over the last few weeks. I've got a few different things I've been working on that I wanted to talk about. So let's get started. As usual, I'll start off with what I'm wearing today. And I've actually been doing a little bit of a wardrobe clear out over the last couple of weeks. I thought the new year was a good time to do that. I think sometimes because I've got quite a few clothes now because I've been dressmaking for a few years, I guess, and I have been making quite a few things. Sometimes it can be a little bit overwhelming and I end up getting into a bit of a rut where I'm reaching for the same things over and over again. So I thought if I cleared my drawers out a little bit and had a look at what I really had, it would help me to then get better use of the things in there. So yeah, I've been trying to be a bit more brutal and get rid of a few things that I'm really not wearing, and it's kind of helped me to pick out some different things. So I've got on an old skirt today that I haven't worn for ages and I'm really enjoying wearing actually. But I'll talk about the top first. This is actually a new make and it probably looks quite familiar because this make is very similar to another make I made a few weeks ago. This is a Freya top, so it's a Freya top from the stretch book by Tilly and the Buttons, and I made a version that's very similar to this one in a grey marley fabric just after Christmas, and it's a really lovely fabric. It's this kind of wide rib knit fabric which I think is 90% cotton, 10% elastane, so it's got a nice amount of stretch and it's quite substantial and it's got really good recovery too, so perfect for quite a close fitting top. And I got this from Minerva. I really love the look of it. I think I was gifted the grey fabric in exchange for a blog post on the Minerva website, which I'll link down below. I love the fabric so much I went back and bought myself another colourway. So this is my second Freya top in this fabric, and this colourway is slightly different to the grey, although it might not look that different if you can't see the grey next to me. This is the biscuit colourway, so it's got a bit more of like a beigey tone in it, I guess, but still this lovely sort of marley effect, and it's just such a comfy top to wear. And these two Freyas in this heavy or sort of wide knit fabric, they're a little bit more cosy than my standard cotton jersey Freya, so perfect while the weather's still quite chilly like it is outside at the moment. So yeah, this is my Freya number 2 in this wide rib knit fabric. I'll link it down below. It comes in lots of colours, not just kind of beigey grey colours. There are some brighter colours too, but I thought this colour would go with loads of stuff, and I thought it went well with my skirt today, so I'll stand up a bit and show you the skirt I'm wearing. And this skirt is, I've got the pattern here to show you it because it's less of a kind of well-known pattern than the Freya top. I probably don't need to show you that pattern really. It's just the classic Freya top with the mock neckline, and I've lengthened the sleeves slightly. It's nice and close fitting. But yeah, the skirt pattern is this one here. It is the moss skirt pattern by Grainline Studio. It's one of the older patterns I've got, and I've got a few patterns by Grainline. I find they have a sort of similar aesthetic, all of them. They're quite simple, clean lines. The instructions are fairly limited, but they're really good instructions, but they're not really wordy, but they kind of are nice and clear and methodical to follow through. And yeah, the moss skirt is a woven skirt pattern. It's kind of like a mini skirt or knee length skirt, and it's got quite a few nice details to it. It's got a fly front zipper, it's got these slash pockets, and at the back there isn't a picture, but it's got a little yoke, which I think is quite nice for achieving a good fit between your bum and your waist. It kind of means it kind of can pull in nicely there, and you can adjust the yoke slightly to give a nice fit there. And you can make it into this sort of longer skirt. I guess either you could bring the lines down to make it into a plain knee-length skirt, or you can add this band on the bottom. It doesn't have the best size range, this pattern. It only goes from a US 0 to 18. The largest size is for a waist of 37 inches. But I think I've sized down slightly on this pattern when I've made it, because it's designed to sit just below your natural waist, and I prefer it sitting more on my natural waist and kind of hugging my natural waist. So I've sized down a little bit just to get that fit that sits a little bit higher. But it sews up really nicely, and this is, I think, my second version I made. So this one's a bit more neat than my first version when I was quite new to sewing, and it was my first time trying a fly front zipper, and I was sort of learning by doing, and it turned out okay, but probably not the neatest fly front zipper you've ever seen. I mean, this one still isn't probably the neatest fly front zipper you've ever seen either, but it's definitely neater than my first version. But I made it in this really lovely quite chunky corduroy fabric that I got from Self-Made. I don't think they've got this one in stock at Kate. It was quite a long time ago I got it, but I love the petrol colour of it. I'll stand up in so you can see a little bit more. And it's just a really nice cosy skirt, and what I did was I went for this version here because I like the bottom band, but I chopped off the skirt a little bit. So instead of having quite a short mini skirt like this version, I've got kind of a skirt that's in between. So it's not quite knee length, but not as short as mini, I'd say. And I'll put a picture up so you can see what it looks like on. And I love wearing a skirt and a top, but I haven't worn many recently. I've really been living in jeans and sweatshirts or the occasional dress. So I was quite pleased my wardrobe clear out sort of made me remember my moss skirts. So I'm enjoying wearing this one today with this nice cosy Freya top. Oh, and I'll link the moss skirt pattern too down below. It's a really nice one. Yeah, I keep saying whenever I mention this pattern, I'd love to make a denim version. So at some point I'm going to make a denim version. But I don't know why. I'm always a bit nervous about buying denim online because I know there's lots of different weights of it, and I feel a bit less familiar with knowing what you're going to get when you order denim. I feel more comfortable with other fabrics. The ones I've looked at the description, I have an idea of what's going to turn up. But denim is one of those fabrics I'm a bit more nervous about ordering online. So I think I'd love to kind of maybe go to a fabric shop if I was going to make a denim skirt using this pattern, and actually have a look and feel and find the denim that I wanted for it, rather than risking ordering something and ending up being a little bit too lightweight or too heavyweight, or yeah, just not quite right. So yeah, anyway, that is what I'm wearing today. So I've got a little list here of things I wanted to talk about in this video. And the first thing I thought I'd talk about is a couple of garments that I've been making recently. So I've got a couple of new makes to share, and the first one is 2 sets of pyjamas that I've made for my daughter. So she's definitely growing quite a bit at the moment. She's nearly 7 now, and she had a couple of pairs of winter pyjamas that she was wearing last winter. And at the beginning of this winter, she sort of fitted into them fine, but as winter's gone on, I've noticed they've been getting a little bit short on the arm and on the leg. So I thought it was a good time to start some new pairs of pyjamas for her. And fairly recently, I'd sewn my son up some new pyjamas using some Where's Wally fabric that I bought as kind of like a job lot because he really loves it. So I made a few pairs for him, both summer and winter pairs. So I thought it was time to sew some for my daughter, and she was quite keen on having handmade pyjamas. So we had a look online and found some cool fabrics, and I made these pyjamas out of those. So I made 2 pairs. They're both winter pyjamas, and I used the same patterns for each pair. I used for the top a free pattern, which is the ABB Kids Tee by DIBY Club. I'll link the pattern down below. It's free to download. It comes in quite a wide age range too, and it's just for quite a simple little t-shirt. I think you can make it long sleeved or short sleeved, and there's a regular fit and a slim fit available. And I find it's quite a nice fit, and it sews up quite nicely. I've used it on both my son and daughter quite a few times, so it's my sort of go-to kids t-shirt pattern, and the fact that it's free is great too. So for my daughter, I traced out a slightly larger size, and then I also altered the pattern slightly. So here's one of the little pyjama tops. I added on a little cuff onto the sleeve because it isn't designed to have a little cuff, but I thought that would look quite cute and match with the little pink ribbing I'd used around the neckline. So here is one of her pyjama tops that I've used using sort of an adapted version of the ABB Kids Tee. And I use a regular fit, so I find the regular fit actually isn't that wide fit, so I think the slim fit would be a bit too slim really, especially for pyjamas, which you want to be nice and loose and comfy. But yes, this is her first PJ top. It's got a little pocket on. I put a little picture of a yawning cat on the pocket because I thought that was quite appropriate for pyjamas, and done a bit of sort of hot pink top stitching. And yeah, I was really pleased how it came out, and I love the little pop of hot pink on the cuffs and the neckline there too. But yeah, this is the first pair. This fabric is a really cute cotton jersey that I got from Minerva. I think it's still in stock, so I'll link it down below. It's just got loads of kittens on, and it is kind of Christmassy because they're all little stockings, but I think the colours make it not too Christmassy to wear through the winter. So there is the top, and then for the pyjama bottoms for my daughter, I use the mini Hudson pants pattern by True Bias, which is a pattern I've got loads of use out of for both my daughter and my son. So here are the mini Hudson pants. So they work quite well for pyjamas in this sort of lightweight cotton jersey. And I've added on a little pocket detail in this hot pink, and also cuffs in the bottom of the hot pink. And I made the cuffs a bit wider just to make them extra comfy for pyjamas. And then it's got the little elasticated waist, which is nice and comfy. And my daughter doesn't really like the having the little cord around the middle, which makes it easier and quicker to sew up. So yeah, those are the little pyjama bottoms. And I also made a pair of matching pants because I had some of the material left over, so I thought they were quite cute too. They've got a little bow on the front, which I had so my daughter knows which way around to put them. And they've got, again, this sort of hot pink elastic that kind of matches, I think, with the hot pink of the ribbing on the pyjamas. So she was quite tickled with having a whole matching set of pyjamas and pants underneath too. And the pattern I like to use for her little pants, or I should call them knickers, I think. I know in the UK we call them pants, but pants are trousers elsewhere. So yeah, anyway, knickers, pants, panties. The pattern I use is the mini acacia pattern by Megan Nielsen, which is a free pattern. And there's also an adult's version just called the standard acacia pants pattern. Again, that's free too. I'll link the mini acacia down below. I think you just need to sign up to the Megan Nielsen newsletter, and then you gain access to their free pattern library. There's a few nice patterns in there. And I just find the mini acacia sew up really nicely, and my daughter finds them really comfy. So yeah, that's the first pair of pyjamas I made her. And then I went on to make another pair in some fabric I'd actually used before a long time ago to make her a dress. And I had a little bit left over of that fabric, and I ordered some more to have just enough to make this pyjama set. So it's quite nice to use that scrap up as well. And this is the fabric here. It's a really cute another cotton jersey fabric. This one's got this navy base and lots of unicorns on. And again, I think it is quite a Christmassy print because it's got presents and little snowflakes and things. But again, I think the colours mean you kind of like wouldn't necessarily notice it was Christmassy. It can be worn through the whole of winter. So this is our second set. Again, I used the hot pink ribbing, the same hot pink ribbing. I had enough left over for this set too, which is great. And it's got a little pocket there with a little unicorn on. And then again, some mini Hudson pants to go with it. So yeah, the two pyjama sets are quite different to each other, but they're both really cute, I think. And my daughter really likes them both. And this fabric, I originally got the fabric from First for Fabrics, but when I looked, I think they'd sold out. But I managed to find it at Empress Mills. They still have some left in stock, so I'll link it down below. And I did make a pair of matching pants for this set too, because there's enough fabric to squeeze those out, and because it tickled my daughter for this version, I thought I'd make another pair, but she's actually worn them to school today, so I can't show you those. But again, I used the hot pink elastic again, so it kind of matches really well. So those are two pairs of pyjamas. I think I've got a picture of my daughter wearing this pair, so I'll pop that up here so you can see what they look like on. They're nice and cosy, and the weather's still cold here, so I'm hoping she'll get some wear out of them for the next few weeks. And then fingers crossed, I've added a little bit of extra length to the sleeves and the trousers, so I'm hoping that she'll still fit into them at least at the beginning of next winter. But yeah, I was pleased to sew those up for her. And then the next make that I've been working on over the last couple of weeks is a bit of a scrap buster, because I made it out of fabric I had left over from another project. And it's a top that I made using this pattern here, which is the Orage top, dress and skirt pattern by Deer and Doe. It's a really pretty and versatile pattern, this one. I think it was released by Deer and Doe last year. It's designed for stretch fabrics, and you can either make this dress here with this mock neckline that's quite similar to the Freya neckline. Then the bodice has this interesting cutout detail, which I thought was really pretty and not something I'd seen a lot before. And it's got this sort of swishy skirt that I think is midi length with a dipped hem at the front and the back. And you can also make a square necked top and this little cropped t-shirt with a round neck, and there's a skirt option built into it, which is basically this skirt with an elasticated waistband added on. And this is also one of Deer and Doe's newer patterns that's released in their larger size range, so it comes in 2 size bands, so it's quite a nice size inclusive pattern, but I'll link the pattern down below. But earlier this month I made a dress version, basically this dress, only I cropped off the skirt, I straightened the hem off and made it into more of an above the knee length skirt, which I thought was a bit more me than the midi length. And I had a lot of fun making it. I'll put up that dress here. I talked about it, I think, in my recent makes video, which I'll link up above. And I made it in this lovely fabric, which is a tencel jersey fabric by Meets Milk. I'd got it from Minerva. It was the second time I'd bought that fabric. I'd actually originally bought the shell colourway, I think it was, and made a Freya top in it. So I knew I really liked the fabric. It's lovely and drapey and soft. So yeah, anyway, I had my eye on it, and this pattern requires fabric with quite a lot of stretching, which this Tencel jersey has. I think you need at least 60% stretch, and the Tencel jersey has 90% stretch, so definitely plenty of stretch. So I thought I'd buy some and make that dress. But once I finished my orage dress, I found I had a decent amount of fabric left over. I think it does happen sometimes when you're sewing a new pattern and you're kind of trying out and seeing whether the fabric requirements, the pattern states, are kind of bang on, or whether you do end up with a bit of excess. And on this one I ended up with a bit of excess, and I think particularly because I guess I'd shortened the skirt a bit, so the pattern pieces for the skirt weren't as large. So I thought with just enough to squeeze out a top, and I wanted to kind of use that leftover fabric because it's such pretty fabric, it seemed a shame not to turn it into something. So I decided to turn it into a little top version of the orage dress. So I basically used this bodice here, the cutout bodice, and then borrowed the sort of longer lines of this top here to bring it down to sort of top length rather than just the sort of length you'd cut it for adding on a skirt, to make it into a sort of full length top. And then I didn't have quite enough fabric for the long sleeves, so I went for a short sleeved version. So with a mock neck, short sleeves, and then a full length top. So yeah, that's what I did with my leftover fabric. So here is my little orage top. So you can see it's got the cutout detail there, the mock neck and short sleeves. And yeah, I'm really pleased with how it turned out actually. It's a nice, fairly speedy little sew. I finished these sleeves off with top stitching, twin needle top stitching, but I haven't actually hemmed the bottom of the top because I'm planning to tuck it into skirts or jeans. That's probably how I'll wear it. And actually I didn't have quite enough fabric for the full length of this top here, so I had to just basically make it as long as I could with the fabric I had left. It's a little bit shorter than that full length, so I thought I want to keep as much length as possible, so I won't finish that bottom edge, and it doesn't fray because it's jersey, so I'm not going to bother finishing that edge because I know it'll be tucked in. I'll give it a little bit more length just so there's no risk of it kind of popping out, which might be a little bit annoying. So yeah, that is my top. It's sewed up really nicely. It is quite a speedy sew, this top. I guess it's a jersey sew, which I find always generally faster. And I sort of altered the pattern slightly on this version. With my first version, I found it came up a little bit roomy. I went based on my measurements, and I found it came up a little bit roomy on the dress. So I had to kind of alter it at a later stage, sort of taking the side seams, the bodice and the arms and things just to get a better fit on me. So for this version, I sized down to the smallest size, and I found that came out a lot better on me. So it was nice to have that chance, I guess, with the leftover fabric to have a play around with the pattern and get a better fit in case I want to make it going forward. So yeah, this is my little t-shirt version. I haven't got a picture at the moment, but after I finished filming this, I'm going to go and try and get a quick picture so you can see what it looks like on. So all being well, I'll pop a picture up here of my top version of the orage dress. It is lovely fabric. As you can see, it's got a lovely sheen to it. It's really drapey. It's nice and comfy to wear. So yeah, it was nice to be able to squeeze this little top out of the leftovers. I really haven't got barely any fabric scraps left now, so I've definitely used up all of this fabric, which is great. So those are the makes that I've been working on over the last week or two. And then the next thing I wanted to share is a new pattern release, or I guess it's a new release of an old pattern. So you might well know that Tilly and the Buttons have been working on extending the size range of some of their older patterns to make them more size inclusive and to bring them in line with the size range on all of their new patterns that they've been releasing. And the latest pattern they've extended the size range on is one of my favourites, is the Agnes top. So here is the new Agnes top pattern. It's now available in a size UK 6 up to UK 34, which has been extended. It used to only go up to UK 20, so much more size inclusive now, which is really great. And it's also had a bit of a rebrand. So there's a new pattern envelope too, which looks really lovely. It features Sam, who is the purple sewing cloud, on there, which is really nice to see. So Tilly and the Buttons got in touch with me before this pattern was launched to offer me a copy of it, and I was really excited to get a copy because my old Agnes top pattern is very well loved. It's quite battered now actually. You can see it's kind of torn. I've had to put sellotape around the edges to stop it from falling apart. And it's quite fat as well because I've got loads of different versions of this pattern I've traced. So my original versions are getting a bit tatty now from so much use, so it's nice to have a new version. But I really love the Agnes top pattern. I'll show you all the details of it. It probably is one you're familiar with, but I think it's just such a great basic jersey top. So yeah, this is the kind of version I particularly like. It's just quite a simple jersey top with this scoop neck. It's designed to have long sleeves, but it's quite easy just to chop the sleeves off to make it into quite a simple jersey t-shirt. So I've done that a few times. And then you can add a couple of embellishments. You can add this sort of ruched bit at the front of the neckline, which I've done once before. It adds a little detail. I think that's the version that Sam's wearing on the front there. Or you can add on this ruched sleeve, which gives slightly voluminous sleeve. I haven't tried that version because I'm not always sure about how comfortable I feel wearing sort of voluminous sleeves, but I've seen it look lovely on other people, that version too. So it's just a great simple jersey top, and it sews up really nicely. And I find it's quite a fun pattern to hack too. I've made a few dress versions of this top by kind of cropping off the top and adding on a couple of different styles of skirts. So I've got a Agnes dress with a gathered skirt, and then I also borrowed the sort of more A-line skirt of the Freya once, and I sort of merged that with the Agnes top and made a dress like that too. So I've had a lot of fun with this pattern, so I think it's great it's available in a wider size range so more people can enjoy it now. So yeah, I'd like to get my new version out and use it. I've got some fabric I've had in my stash for a while that I was thinking about making an Agnes top in, so I might well sew this up into a new Agnes top for this kind of springtime. It's a really pretty, just simple cotton jersey fabric, and this, I don't know how you describe this colour, maybe like a sort of, I don't know, reddy pink, quite a soft kind of, quite a pretty colour. And I was thinking of making this into kind of a simple scoop neck top. I thought that would look quite nice with a pair of jeans, or maybe tucked into a denim skirt or something like that. So yeah, I may well turn that fabric into an Agnes top and enjoy using my new pattern that isn't falling apart quite as much as my old version. So yeah, I might well do that with that fabric. This fabric I think came from Eliza Mack Fabrics a while ago. If it's still in stock, I'll link it down below. But it's quite a nice simple cotton jersey with quite a lot of nice stretch to it, so it'll work perfectly for an Agnes top. So yeah, thank you very much, Tilly and the Buttons, for my new copy of the Agnes top. It's definitely nice to replace my old one before it totally falls apart. So the next thing I wanted to share with you is a couple of sewing bits that I got for my birthday. So my birthday is towards the end of January, and sometimes it can be hard to think of things I want for my birthday just because it comes quite soon after Christmas, and this year was one of those years where I was really scratching my head and there wasn't a great deal I wanted, but I did manage to come up with a couple of sewing items I wanted and I got, so I was quite pleased about that. And the first thing I got is a new pair of dressmaking scissors. So here they are Fiskars dressmaking scissors, which I really like, and this is actually to replace an identical pair of these scissors that I'd had for quite a few years, since when I was quite new to dressmaking. And they've always worked really well, and then over Christmas, somehow, I don't know how I managed to do it, I managed to drop them twice onto a hard floor, and they really weren't the same afterwards. I think I must have dinged the blades, and they just really would not cut. They kept sort of sticking to the fabric. They were, yeah, quite spoiled. So I was really quite annoyed with myself because they were great scissors and I'd had them for a few years and always managed to look after them. I don't know how I managed to drop them twice in quick succession, but I thought I'd ask for a new pair for my birthday anyway, because I really missed having them for a couple of weeks there in between when I'd sort of spoilt them and my birthday. And I have given the old pair to my husband. I have got one of those scissor sharpening tools, so he said he'd have a look and see what he could do and see whether he could manage to sort of improve the blades at all and yeah, make them a bit better than they are at the moment. So I thought if you can do that, it might be nice to have them as a backup pair, but in the meantime I really needed a new pair, so it was nice to have those for my birthday. I really like Fiskars scissors. I find them nice and comfy to work with. When I started sewing, I did start with a different pair of scissors. My mum, when I originally started sewing, had got me a kind of little sort of mini box of kind of things you might need if you're sewing. And one thing was a pair of John Lewis crafting scissors, but they weren't specifically dressmaking scissors. I think they were general craft scissors. And I did use them at first when I started sewing, but then it became clear they weren't doing the job that well on sort of, you know, tricky fabrics like jersey and things. They weren't really cutting that well. So at that point I decided to investigate other scissors, and I found these Fiskars ones and I've never looked back. So for a couple of weeks I had to go back to those crafting scissors, so it reminded me how much better my Fiskars ones are. So it's nice to have this new pair. I think they're really readily available from Amazon. I'll link them down below. Yeah, I really like them, and they weren't too expensive, I think, but I did feel a bit bad about my other pair. I just don't know how I managed to drop them twice. It was really clumsy. But never mind. I got a new pair and they work really nicely, so that is good. And we'll see if my husband can save the other ones. He said he wouldn't mind having a look. So that was my one thing I got for my birthday. And the other thing was not very exciting, really, but I'm happy to have them, which is a little set of jersey sewing needles by Schmetz. I do like Schmetz needles. I like their Microtex needles. I like the jersey needles. I've tried a couple of other brands on my sewing machine. I've got a Cath sewing machine, and I think I did get some Prim branded needles at one point, and they just didn't seem to work so well. I don't know whether it was my sewing machine or what. I just didn't get on with them so well, but I find that Schmetz one's my machine that I like. So I've got a load of jersey needles, and that'll last me a while, I think, in size 70 and 80. I think I generally have used 70 before, just because that's what I've had, but I'm sure 80 will be fine too, so that is nice too. I also got for my mum some money to spend on fabric. So I haven't spent that yet, actually, so I've got that sitting there, which I'm quite excited about spending at some point. So hopefully I'll be able to share with you what I use that money on at some point in the near future. I always feel like it's the way, you know, when you go shopping and you've got no money and you see everything in the shops you want, but when you have got a bit of money, you can't find what you want. So I feel like I'm a bit like that at the moment. Now I've got this money to spend, I'm looking at all the fabrics and there's nothing there that is appealing enough to me to buy. Whereas if I haven't got any money to spend, I'm thinking, well, that looks nice, but yeah, it's nice to have that spending money. So hopefully at some point in the future I'll be able to do a little fabric haul and share with you what I use that money on. And then the next thing I wanted to share in this video is something new for me that I've been working on over the last few weeks in the evenings, and I've really been enjoying working on this and practicing and learning a new skill, and it is learning to crochet. So if you've been watching my channel for a while, you'll know I really love to knit. I've been knitting for a few years now. I've knitted quite a few different things, from sort of garments to dolls' clothes to sort of knitted toys, all sorts. But I've always had in the back of my mind that I'd love to master crochet too. But have tried a couple of times in the past to master crochet, and it's just never really clicked, and I've ended up putting it aside and going back to my knitting. But then before Christmas, just a few weeks ago, I was knitting a little outfit for one of my daughter's dolls, a little play suit. And it came to the point in the pattern where I had the final bits to finish. And I discovered those final bits were designed to be done in crochet. So a little button placket and the neckband were all in crochet in the pattern. And I was a little bit horrified when I discovered that, because I was expecting to have to knit all the way to the end. And I thought, oh no, I'm going to do a bit of crochet. I think I had knitted that pattern quite a long time ago. So I did sort of know somewhere in my mind there was some crochet in there, but I'd totally forgotten it. I think I'd put it out of my mind because I'd really struggled with it the first time round. But this time round, I thought, no, I'm going to give this a good old go and try and understand what I'm doing a bit better. And I did, and I really actually enjoyed it. And I found that crochet maybe felt like it was starting to click a little bit. And I wanted to do a bit more to make it more familiar, work on how you kind of use the hook and get the tension, which is something I'd struggled with before, because I feel it's quite different how you hold the knitting needles and everything. So I thought, no, I'm going to give this a good go and actually try and learn how to crochet and really feel like I know what I'm doing, rather than feeling like I'm kind of blundering through it and just hoping it'll be okay. So what I decided to do was start with a real classic crochet thing and try knitting some granny squares. And as a longer term project, I've been wanting to use up some of my leftover yarn from other projects, so I thought it would be a great way to maybe start by knitting up a little blanket using granny squares. And if you've watched my videos from just before Christmas, I think, I actually was planning to make a knitted blanket by knitting lots of different squares to kind of make a patchwork blanket. But I've been struggling a bit because all the different knitted squares were knit in different stitches, and I've been struggling a bit to get them all to a similar size so that they'd sew up nicely together. So I thought, well, why don't I just start by having a go of a crocheted blanket? It'll be great to use up some yarn, and I know that all the squares will turn out the same size because I'm making the same pattern, the little granny square on each square. So I thought I'd do that and give that a go and see how I got on. So that's what I've been working on. I've been really enjoying it, and here are some of my little granny squares. I've been using up lots of different pink yarns. I've got different colours here. I had lots of different sort of half balls left over, and what I'm thinking of doing is making this into a little blanket that my daughter can use for her dolls, because she really loves using blankets for her dolls. I don't think she can have too many of them, so that's my plan for these little squares. So I've been using a couple of tutorials on YouTube that I found really useful. I'll link them down below. One was just for how to make a basic granny square, and I just found the tutorial nice and clear and easy to follow, so I definitely recommend it. And the next tutorial I'm currently on at the moment is how to join the granny squares together to make a blanket or to make something. And that's what I'm doing at the moment. So here is the start of my blanket. You can see I've got a few ends I need to tie in there. So I've only put 3 squares together so far, but I'm really enjoying it. I had quite a lot of this pale pink wool, so I thought it would be perfect to use for joining all the squares together, and that would look quite sweet. And so I'm really enjoying it. I'm using the join as you go method. The video I'm using has 2 different methods, and I quite like the look of the join as you go method. It's quite nice. It kind of creates a little, these little sort of holes in between where you've knitted them together, which I think mirrors the actual holes in the granny squares, so I quite like the look of that. The other one, you sort of knit them more, or sort of sew them more tightly together, so you don't get those little holes, but I quite like that look. So that's what I'm doing. So I'm working on that in the evenings, really enjoying it. I'm definitely getting to grips with how to hold the yarn together with the hook and how to kind of let the tension work and things. So I think this is a good project to kind of sort of just get to grips with those basics of crochet, and then maybe after I finish this project I'll try something a bit more adventurous which uses more stitches, because I'm using the kind of same stitch over and over again on this project. I guess it's quite repetitive on the stitch front, but yeah, I'm really enjoying it actually, and it's nice to have a break from knitting and try something different, and it is something I've wanted to sort of learn how to do for ages. So yeah, I'll update you on how I'm getting on my blanket. Yeah, it's just really enjoyable to feel like I'm finally getting crochet after years of struggling with it. So yeah, anyway, I'll link those tutorials down below, and yeah, show you how I'm getting on with this blanket in due course. I'm kind of really looking forward to it every evening to get started on it, so yeah, it's nice to learn a new skill. So I think that's everything that I've got to share in today's video. So thank you very much for joining me for my first ever Friday Sews video. I've really enjoyed filming this one. It's been nice to do a chatty style video, especially since I haven't been doing my midweek chats for the last few weeks. It's been nice to just catch up with what I've been up to generally on this sewing and crochet front. So yeah, if you've enjoyed this video, then please do give it a thumbs up. And if you're new to my channel, I would love it if you would subscribe. And then if you press the bell icon too, it means you'll be notified when my future videos come out. So I hope you're having a lovely day, whatever you are up to. Hopefully you'll get some crafting in today or over the weekend. Fingers crossed we all will. And I'll hopefully see you for another video again soon. So thanks again for watching, and yes, see you soon. Bye.